One, two.
La 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 la.
What
What
up?
up?
Welcome
Uh,
to the
Video and Final Club.
yes, welcome to the Video and Vinyl Club. I'm Emmy Wildwood. I'm a musician, an artist, art director, and this is Erin Mars.
Yes, I'm Erin Mars, and I have been friends and bandmates with Emmy Wildwood for 14 years, which we were talking about the other day. But I'm also a writer, a director, an actor, a jack of all trades, and excited to talk today with you all with my wonderful, beautiful friend, Emmy, which is a reason you should watch us on YouTube because
Oh
then you'd be
yes.
able to see her beautiful, pretty face.
Yes,
Um,
if you're listening to us for the first time, we are a podcast that talks about movies and music, just like you would at your buy sell exchange record rack,
yeah, the
Kim's
classic
video.
record store
Yes.
with the black light bulbs and the neon posters and the tie-dye t-shirts
And the employees with attitudes.
and the incense
And the judgment.
and the judgment. What album you want? Okay. Yeah.
Alanis
Um,
Morissette,
yeah.
please.
Yeah. Um, we love Alanis Morissette. I love
Oh
Alanis
yeah.
Morissette. You do
I
too. We're just talking about the jerks who sometimes would work at those places. And I worked
yeah.
at one of those places. Yes.
I used to go to Zia Record Exchange in Tucson, Arizona. That's my buy sell trade place. And I would look for bootlegs so hard of
Ooh.
like one-off songs, like because you can't get bootlegs at like regular, you couldn't get them at like Sam Goody or something like that.
No,
So
chain stores don't sell those stuff. Yeah.
no, so people would go to concerts and or like record stuff off, I don't know, like deep cut stuff and
Totally.
make their own covers, and then
Mhm.
those places would buy them and resell them because no one else would. And so I would
Yeah.
collect. You know what I got from there one time? I got a Tori Amos doing Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Ooh, interesting.
And it
So
was
she did that at a
so,
cover and somebody was there,
yeah,
bootleg taped it, and
yeah,
then
fixed the
made
sound
those
up.
made those cassette
Yeah,
copies and then made the little
yeah.
drawing on a cassette
All
cover
right.
and
All right.
sell it.
Not cassette, CD.
Okay, I'm saying cassette because that's how I got some. Because I have some cassettes. We're around the same age. I mean, we're basically the same age.
We are the same
Um,
age.
yeah. I was just gonna say because I actually have some cassette tapes
Yeah.
that are bootleg concert recordings from like Blondie and stuff
Oh,
from
yeah.
back then. But that stuff's super cool. And what I really actually think is kind of interesting, and one of the things that you and I have in common is like a thread when you're talking about that place in Arizona, me growing up on the opposite side of the country over mostly in Connecticut, New England. Um, my record place that I would go to that was like the cool place in New
Yeah.
Haven was Cutler's Record Rack.
Oh,
It was
cool.
huge and everybody seemed like really cool. And I would
Yeah.
like go through and try to look like I'm looking for cool stuff, but I didn't know really what was cool. So it was
Yeah.
always a highly anxious experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm cool enough to be here, but
Yeah,
I hope they don't find me. There's like major, what is it? Imposter syndrome. You're like,
totally. It
I
was
hope they
like,
don't know about my guilty pleasures. Can they tell by looking at me?
yeah, can they tell I'm 13?
Yeah. Definitely not.
I'm so cool.
So today we are here to talk about some movies and music. We're going to talk about Joker, Folie, and
Joker.
Deux.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we have feelings. I have feelings.
I
She has
have
feelings.
feelings. I have
We have
feelings.
feelings.
I have unpopular feelings.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the second Joker movie, Joker Folie Deux, and then we're gonna talk about Lady Gaga and her album. Emmy's gonna share with us all about that.
The Harley Quinn
The
album.
Harley Quinn album, yeah. So let's just talk about this new film. And it's new because it was released into theaters the beginning of September 2024, and it is now online. You can buy it, you can rent it from Amazon Prime, probably a bunch of other places too at this point, because it went pretty quickly to that as it has gotten really low ratings in the theater. I have a few theories about that. So this film, just to go into a little bit of the background of it, this is the same director, Todd Phillips, who directed the first Joker film that had Joaquin Phoenix in it, which got very high ratings. People really loved the tenderness with which the character was shown and the humanity. Also, the visuals were absolutely gorgeous. And so once that film came out and had a really high, great feedback, Todd Phillips says, "Hey, what's up? I've got actually a second movie. I can make a second movie of this." And the studio's like, "All right, cool, let's do it." So they greenlit it. And he co-wrote with Scott Silver this second film. And, you know, Batman, Joker, they're all part of the DC universe, which anybody who's really into comic books and really into that world, um, that's a fan base that has really pretty strong feelings about how things are represented, and it either goes really well or it doesn't. So I think that's one of the things to kind of keep in mind. But let's kind of just talk about our takes on it. So, Emmy, what was your initial thought? How do you feel about it?
Well,
Let's yeah.
I did go in with like some preconceived notions. Like I'd heard it hadn't done well, but I tried to just, take it with a grain of salt because a lot of times like something will get bad ratings and or not do well in the theater, but like I'll find something really special in it. And, I gotta say about halfway in, I was like, I'm not seeing a problem. It's not that I wasn't seeing a problem. I was just like, I'm really enjoying this. And which brings me to a thought about myself. Let's talk about me. No, I had a mentor that I worked with for many, many years, John
Mhm,
Turi, and
mhm.
he always told me to listen and to watch for the first time with enjoyment, just for enjoyment, not with
Oh, I
like
like that.
not with analytical whatever. And now I'm not saying that's how I do most of these films because we have to pay attention and
Yeah.
be thinking about it. That's our job. So,
Yep. Yep.
but when somebody says like they don't, there's like a harsh criticism, I was like, I just want to see if I like if it stuck out to me. I don't want to be I just want to try and see if I can like get sucked into it and all of that stuff. And
Totally.
so about halfway and I was like, I think I really like this. And I did really like it overall, but then things sort of took a turn for me. The second half sort of dropped off for me. What did you think?
So I thought if this film had not been associated with Joker, I think it actually would have done better.
Yeah.
I think that if this had been a film about a guy who had, let's say, the same story background, right? Like he had killed somebody on live TV, he'd come from a really low socioeconomic background. The government had kind of let him down. The social support system hadn't been there. He wasn't provided the medication that he needed. He took a really dark turn. People then in the society kind of got behind this guy. Then I think we're talking about a totally different film. I actually think it would have done better. The things that I think really hurt it are a few things. One, there was over an hour before he's not in a prison. So it's like before he even goes to court, we're seeing him in prison and it's just very dark and he's in jail. And I feel like part of the classic um, comic book story between Harley Quinn and Joker is the two of them, they have this love story, but that they go and they wreak havoc together. So you're kind of waiting the whole time for like, okay, and when are they going to like get out? When is he going to get out of prison? Like, okay, this is his trial, but when are we going to move here? I thought the music was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that it was a musical. I thought that was beautiful. And I thought that was a wonderful tool to kind of help bring to focus more of the fantasy world that these two people are living within a
Yes.
reality that's very different. I thought that was a gorgeous way to do that storytelling. I thought the costumes were great. I thought the acting was superb. The casting was amazing. I think the script was the problem. I think that it just took too long to get to a place where real action is happening. And then by the time you finally get there, you're kind of like tuned out at that point because this was a long film. This is over 2 hours.
Was it?
And yes, and then
Huh.
he finally gets out of the courtroom. And this
Yeah.
is a spoiler, but like, you know, there's going to be some, everybody knows, I mean, it's Joker, he's going to get away at a certain point, right? But then you're left with this feeling of like general malaise and also, so what's the story?
Yeah. So
Right? Like it didn't.
for me, I felt like uh Lady Gaga or Harley Quinn's storyline was like super unclear. Should we get into a little of the synopsis? Yeah, so Joker Folie Deux is a dark musical thriller that follows Arthur Fleck, that's Joaquin Phoenix's character, the troubled comedian turned criminal known as Joker. He's institutionalized at Arkham Asylum and awaiting trial. Arthur struggles with his identity and the haunting consequences of his actions, which is he basically like murdered a bunch of people at the end of Joker film.
Mhm.
And during his time being locked up, he meets Lee, Lady Gaga's character. She's an inmate and a former psychiatry student who captivates him. Lee, inspired by Arthur's chaotic persona, becomes entangled in a twisted romance with him. Their relationship deepens as they bond over shared trauma and complex desires, leading to chaotic and destructive events inside and outside of the institution, basically.
So right there in the synopsis, I can tell you as somebody who is a huge Batman fan, and I've read almost all of the Batman comic books. I've watched all the shows. I've seen all the movies. I love Batman. I know the universe very well.
Yeah.
Right there, Harley Quinn's background story, how they bring her into this film, is not what is part of the Batman universe Bible. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
She in that story is a psychiatrist who treats Joker, falls in love with him, breaks him out of prison, and the two of them have a crazy romance the rest of the storyline. They're on,
That
they're off, they're in, they're out, So even right there, where they introduce her as another person who's in a mental institution and the two of them meet, but then now we bring up she actually does have this background, felt like a little bit of a nod, and they're trying to make it a little bit more real. But I could see
yeah.
again, if somebody who's really likes that universe, you're like, okay, like, all right, you can buy that. But then then it's like at the end, she breaks up with him. That's a spoiler, everybody, but like she dumps him. And you're like,
So,
wait,
right.
what?
So I thought it was so even you like telling me that like about the sort of universe. I'm not a person who knows the DC comic universe. I liked
Yeah,
the 90s Batman, Michael Keaton. I loved
yeah.
that movie. It was incredible and I watched it a million times. But that's about it. And and I didn't know anything about Harley Quinn's character at all. Um and so just you telling me that in that one sentence, it's like, okay, I can see why um you might be feel like sort of unclear on
Right. What's
like
going on?
what's going on. But me as somebody not who didn't know, I felt unclear too, because I didn't understand why some like they add all those details about her like pulling one over on him. Like,
Yes.
that's confusing. It's like, why was she in the mental institution then? If she's not like,
Right.
like,
Right. It makes her out to be much more of a maniacal and calculating person, which, okay, that's fine. We can add that to her
yeah.
character. That's not to say that that's not something
Well,
that
and
character trait Harley Quinn can have, But in regard to Joker and their dynamic, ah,
Mm, not the kind of like they made her out to seem less sick by a lot, right?
mm-hmm,
Like in the end, right?
mm-hmm,
They lead us to believe she's like more delusional or something than
mm-hmm.
she maybe actually was. Or it's like they're trying to align it more with reality, like somebody who might some real gal who might become obsessed with somebody that dangerous,
Yes.
doing it all just for the excitement, just sort of some
Yeah, for the excitement of it, and then
yeah.
also for her own chance to have fame.
But that's it.
It seemed a little, so to me, it felt that, so that's exactly the problem, right? I mean, I think right there, we're dealing with the Joker and Harley Quinn love story is infamous.
Yeah.
So when you're touching into that, you got to be really careful to keep it true to who these characters are.
Yeah, that's
And
they didn't.
essentially what people want, if people
Yeah.
are coming to see Joker and they're like, oh man, great, Harley Quinn's in it, cool, so we know he's in jail. Now it's like, however you want to have them meet, and then we want to see them break out, and we want to see them create havoc together, and we want them to see this really crazy nutso love story.
Yeah.
That's not here.
Yeah.
It's just the basic of it, basis is not here. And that's why I think a lot of people who would go to see this would actually have been disappointed by it. It's not because it's a musical that you're disappointed. The
No.
musical performances are beautiful, but without a strong story tying Harley Quinn and Joker closer together,
Yes.
and those characters and people closer together, and that kind of nutso love story, you
Yes.
don't, I'm not trying to say that these characters have a normal love story in this film. They do not. She manipulates her way into getting to meet this man who's imprisoned and is clearly mentally ill. That's established from the whole thing. But then the moment that he says there is no Joker, it was all me, right? But isn't the essence of him all of that anyway? And yet that's the thing that then makes her so upset she breaks up with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like was a human moment. So to me, it's kind of like, okay, so people who you have you ever heard Crazy Loves Crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like people want to stay in a delusion together. So
Mm-hmm.
I can see how they were trying to shift this to make it a more relatable story, maybe to some headlines that we often read about, maybe to some, in the sense that it's like when two people who are sort of messed up meet and fall in love, they often stick together because they are helping each other keep the delusion. And he makes a step towards reality and
Mm-hmm.
breaks her delusion,
Mm-hmm.
and she the breaking of the delusion is the highest insult to a sociopath. It's like that's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it like scientifically or psychiatrically or whatever, just from having read about it, I
Mm-hmm.
happen to know that when that's sort of like a thing that can cause violent criminals to kind of get set off is the breaking of the delusion.
Yes.
Um, and so she fell out of love with him when he broke that delusion for her, realizing like he's just a man, and that, but it's like, and he was taking a step towards, like, it was a healthful step in a way to like admit, that he had done all these things out of pain and anger and sickness or whatever.
Yeah.
And but she didn't like that. She liked that he'd done it out of this like space of being a hero and powerful and a leader of like these like of the antisocial underground society of like, do you know what I
Totally.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lawbreakers.
Absolutely. And all of that I can completely understand.
Yeah. But that's
I
not the
I
DC Comics
it's
story.
not the DC
Right.
Comics story, and it also the title Folie, right? It's like a delusion shared by two people.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have these delusions in that they're singing together a bunch. All right. That's not the delusion I want to see. I want to see a delusion when you're dealing with these two characters, and you can still have them sing and have it be beautiful, but it felt a little bit like just too off of what people would have wanted to see.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just gonna say, like, the Joker film that this is piggybacking off of, okay, isn't a film that keeps totally, you know, following the total background of Joker from the comics either. It doesn't. But it's a take on this person who we're seeing from a more human standpoint how this villain becomes.
Yeah.
And then you see why these people follow him and
Mhm.
why these people relate to him and what that really represents for him and for them, what he really represents, right? So you get this understanding of like, wow, this is now I'm really in it. It's like a more gritty real world take on that character, and it's a beautiful and unbelievably sad film. So I understand the desire to keep that level of grittiness and in some ways the sadness, but I just think having so much of it being in a prison, so much of it being in a courtroom, with only the last 7 minutes of them out in the real world, it's just not enough.
You know
You've
what?
lost the audience.
You know what is so funny about you saying that is like I hate courtroom films. If we're
Yeah,
not out of the courtroom in the first like 20 minutes of the movie, I mean,
yeah.
I don't even maybe not maybe 10 minutes of the movie. I'm like I'm out of here. I can't. I mean, I had enough trouble with what is you can't handle the truth. What was
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah.
I liked that movie, but like
Yeah.
what is it called? Whatever, it doesn't matter, that Tom Cruise movie. But it's like if I'm stuck in the courtroom with the
Hmm.
characters, like there's a time and place for that. I don't think it's a Joker movie. I don't think it's a Lady Gaga movie. Um, I do,
Yeah, I agree with that. I apologize
yeah.
for interrupting you really quickly. I just want to bring out one other thing that I think was a mistake. They had the prosecutor be Harvey Denton. Now, again, back to the DC universe. Harvey Denton later, that is his beginning story, but he becomes Two-Face. Okay, he has this accident happen.
Mm.
His family gets killed. There's all this stuff. So they're in the courtroom scene and they're like Harvey Denton. And I'm like, oh, wow, Two-Face is going to be in this movie too. This is going to be cool.
Mhm.
No, no,
Yeah.
Two-Face never shows up. So then what's the point of naming the guy Harvey Denton? Why? That could have been any prosecutor. You've already dropped all the other stuff. Why do we keep
Well,
him Harvey Denton? It actually makes you more mad. And I think
you
in a
know,
way it makes you more disappointed. It's like
yeah.
somebody who's watching it. I'm like, so why is he even there? We
Yeah.
don't imply how he's going to turn into a
I
character. We're
had
not
no
seeing,
I had no idea who that
seeing it,
yeah. So
right?
it didn't matter, I guess. Maybe it was just
I
a
don't
little
think it
nod.
mattered.
Yeah.
But again, it was almost like an off place nod. It's like you're either in the world or we're out of the world. You want to
Right.
be out of the world, then take us completely out of the world. But don't drop these little things. It actually makes it feel almost more annoying
Yeah.
because you're not even really necessarily like giving enough homage to what it is.
Hmm.
So it's
Can I say something about that?
mm-hmm,
Okay, stick with me here.
mm-hmm,
Well, two things. One, you know when something, a precious concept,
mm-hmm.
suddenly playing inside the giant game of blockbusters, right? It's like all of a sudden now all of a sudden there's a bunch of talking heads in charge. There's a bunch of people. We've had this discussion before. Suddenly,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of bros who think they know best for the movie are starting to weigh in, and all of a sudden, uh, there is precious pieces diluted.
Yeah.
Precious, precious pieces of the story diluted. and and people have great ideas, and somebody with a lot of money's great idea has to get shoved in there. I could talk about one of those right off the bat in this movie, which is Lady Gaga in the jazz club scene. It was what was that?
Why? Yeah.
Because they want people who are going to go buy tickets to Lady Gaga's show in Vegas to enjoy this movie.
Right. And it also was like, okay, so she did all of those years playing with what's the
Tony Bennett.
Yes, thank you. I'm blanking on his name. Tony
Yeah.
Bennett. So now it's basically the Lady Gaga show without Tony Bennett. It's like,
Why did they have to do that? I know. And that bothered me because she seems like a purist to me. Like, uh, and I just see like, not that her Vegas show isn't great. That's so dope. But I feel like they tried to sort of make money off of the everything they could. They tried to sort of lift or elevate all the kind of wrong pieces, or wrong things.
Yeah.
In the sense it sort of felt very commerce driven in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that kind of stuff happens when the film costs $200 million. You got to start doing things to make sure you're making your money back. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And so it became kind of painfully clear to me that there had been some choices like this made, and that can be very soul sucking. Like suck the soul out of the movie. The second thing is they did descend, like, did you notice in the court scene? Nick noticed this, by the way, that they referred to it as New York and not Gotham. Isn't that weird?
I'm trying to remember back into the first one though, if they called it New York.
They called it Gotham. I just watched it because I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen Joker, so I watched them back to back. So in the first one, it's Gotham, and the second one is New York. And Nick had watched it with me too. So he was like, that's so weird. Like, was that a mistake? Are we supposed to be imagining this inside a new story? Like, are they changing the story?
Right.
And then there's a whole nother side of it where it felt like this Harley Quinn was really more based on a Lady Gaga character.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Just
yeah.
in general.
Even the background they gave her, they're like, she grew up on the Upper West Side and her dad was a doctor. I'm like, just like the real Lady Gaga.
Okay, I'm so glad you noticed that, because I was like, and
that was why?
Was she like a producer in this film or something? I don't know. Like, it just seems like, or was it her idea? Or did she reach out being like, I love this film so much. What if we made the second one a musical? I don't know. And we both identified that. To whoever's listening, Erin and I are long-time New Yorkers. So Lady Gaga is kind of a New York fixture because she played in the Lower East Side, hung out in the Lower East Side.
Yeah, everybody knows Gaga.
Yeah, we saw her around. She was she was local until maybe, she was very out and about till maybe like
2007.
Yeah.
And I respect her, and I like her as a performer, and I think she's an incredible songwriter. It's like nothing to do with Lady Gaga.
No,
I think she's a great performer and a great actor. But the film, it's a bummer.
This seems like a movie that was made for fans. It seems like somewhere,
but not, I would,
for Lady Gaga fans, not for DC.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was the problem. I think that there's a little bit, and it's to me, it's a real shame, because I'm just looking at Rotten Tomatoes right now. The poor thing has gotten 1.5 stars. How the heck did that happen? And, when I'm looking at this other thing, just a quick Google, why to watch this film? It says it's the most searched musical programming on streaming today. Why do I want to watch that? And again, I'm just not that, like, that's not me. That's not my reason for tuning in. I would tune in because I'm like, oh, I love Joker. I love Batman. I love that universe. I love Gotham. Let me see what these people are doing. I love Harley Quinn. The music, again, beautiful.
The reviews of the music part of it are great. which
Hmm.
tells me that they spent a lot of time making sure that the music was great and maybe not enough time um working out like trying to satisfy the viewers that were original fans of Joker,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And some great things I will say about the music, like you said, it is haunting and it's beautiful. Yes, it also is very well thought out. The music dynamically starts very small and it just sort of creeps in and each song becomes bigger and bigger and opens up more and more. And by the end, Gaga's like just exploding in her most, powerful range. And even Joaquin Phoenix
Hmm.
got stronger and more powerful vocally by the end.
Okay, so one of these, I'm going to read this review from Rotten Tomatoes. Joker Folie Deux has some visual flair, but that doesn't make up for the plodding pacing over 2 hours and 18 minutes or its cursory examination of fame. It's a folly that rings hollow. I completely agree.
Mhm.
I completely agree with that. I think that, yeah, to me, it was just slow, dude. The
It was
story
slow.
moved slow.
Yeah.
And for what people feel like is going to be an action film, there was not a lot of action. The first Joker film with Joaquin, he's murdering people. You see him, he's on the subway. These guys screw with him. He kills these dudes. He has a guy show up who was the bully, his boss from, the clown thing, that clown job comes to his apartment. The guy's the bully. He kills that guy. He scares the other guy. It's like we're seeing the action of this guy's a criminal. We're seeing
Yeah.
that level of development. There's action to it. He's running away from the cops. He's doing this, he's doing that. It's moving. We sit in
Mhm.
the same place the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
it's
know?
sort of like it's like they're trying to show the tender side of people who are like that there's both things, right? Inside of a person. There's
Hmm.
always a good and a bit bad in everyone, even
Hmm.
psychos. So and I think they tried to do a deep dive into his more gentle side or the real version of him and wanted us to more empathize with his character, but you can't go soft-sided and keep us locked in a room and have the world's longest, you know,
Hmm.
musical numbers of songs we know very well, so there's no
Yep.
surprises in them. Because these
Yep.
are all like classic Broadway songs. We know every word to you.
Yep.
No one honestly no one ever needs to hear a new version if you just smile again, probably. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was nice. It was nice to hear they were nice songs. It's pretty
Yeah.
like you're in the pocket with stuff like that, but you're not taking any risks. You're not giving anybody anything new. You are not being action oriented when you make choices like that musically. So you can't keep us locked in a room, locked in a hospital with slow songs, going into the softer side, the non action oriented side, the like philosophical side of everything for an entire movie and expect us to feel like really entertained. Plus, leave out very important plot pieces. So,
Yeah. And I guess to me, again, the question is just like, would this film have been better if it had nothing to do with the Joker?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
If it was just a film about a guy who went, La Cucaracha is in jail. A woman falls in love with him, which is
yes,
something that really happens when people are in prison. There's always those fans of people who are like bad guys. And I mean real bad guys, like have actually committed horrible crimes,
yeah.
and their love story. Would that have been a better film? Yeah. Then I
That's a
don't think
good,
you would walk in and go, well, I don't understand this or this doesn't make sense. You'd buy everything they say because it's an original story and you get it. That's why that I think that there's this issue.
yeah,
That's why.
yeah.
Because had it been sold as something else, if you change the title, if you change some of the characters' names, I think it's a great film. I think it's strong.
They needed to commit to one thing or the other.
Yeah.
They
And
rode the line really hard and tried to toss in a little like Lady Gaga merchandising opportunity or
Yeah,
something. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. And I think a lot of comic book fans, me being one of them, I'm a little bit sick of all of these movies coming off of these characters. It's just
Yeah.
like, guys, come on. We can't think of anything else. Like, do we need to have another Batman movie? Maybe. There's been a lot of Batman movies and they've been great. Okay, I want to see the characters. Cool, let's go into Joker. But then like you gotta just, if you're gonna do it, you gotta stay true to the world. And I just didn't feel, I don't know. It just felt like they're taking advantage on like, well, people who like this universe are gonna come and then we'll put in these stars and like you're saying about Gaga. So I don't know. Would I watch it again? No, I'm not gonna watch it again. Would
I
I
don't
watch
think,
the music videos of some of the numbers? Sure.
yeah.
I like some of the individual performances.
So this is a perfect transition for me to talk about the album Harlequin that Lady Gaga put out just following the release of this movie.
Mhm.
Nobody knew it was coming. It was a surprise drop.
Mhm.
And I saw her perform the title track from it on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and it broke my freaking heart. It was so good. I had chills the whole time. Um, the song that she sang is the most melodic, deep, rich, reminiscent of Queen, kind of, the thing she does
Mhm.
best, her be
Yeah.
her glam rock kind of side.
Mhm.
Um, and melodically, it was just like really special, really different, new melody choices. And I say that because I am a harsh critic of melody and music,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I so when I saw her in this interview, she said that she put out the album because she just wasn't done with the character from the movie yet. And it was inspired by that. And I had to ask myself two questions. One, why was this music not in the movie? Why didn't they use this gorgeous, heartbreaking ballad in the
Mm.
movie? Why wasn't even a credit running during the credits of it? It was so good.
Mhm.
Um, and number two, like instead of some of the cheesier numbers in there, do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? They could have,
Mhm.
it would could have had the same effect. They could have, like, because as you said, they were using some of those classic numbers as a sort of um, distinction between what was reality and what was a delusion. And they could have easily done that with any of these songs off this album. The second thing is to me, and as we discussed before, I see Lady Gaga as a bit of a purist, and I wonder if she knew there were holes in her character story. I wonder
Mm.
if she felt like they didn't answer her questions that for the audience, questions about her character for the audience, about her story. And she went in there and explained more who that character was because they didn't. Um, you got to listen to these lyrics. It's called Happy Mistake, the song, the lyrics to Happy Mistake. I had to ask myself if this song, Happy Mistake, was her kind of like, here's what was actually wrong with Harley Quinn in this take of this movie. I'm acting in this play of comedy with tragic words. The audience was smiling, cheering on a scene absurd. I can try and hide behind the makeup, but the show must go on. I feel so crazy. My head is filled with broken mirrors. So many I can't look away. If I could fix, oh, I'm in a bad way. If I could fix the broken pieces, then I'd have a happy mistake. A lonely disposition, portraits of a strung out girl. How'd I get so addicted to the love of the whole world?
Mm.
So there's the answer to the fame part of it.
Mhm.
I could try to hide behind the makeup, but the show must go on. I feel so crazy. My head is filled with broken mirrors, so many that I can't look away. I'm in a bad way. If I could fix the broken pieces, and I'd have a happy mistake. If I could bottle up a sunny day so brilliantly, it'd wash away the sad mistakes, and I could hold my heart in a safe place. All I need to breathe is one happy mistake. So essentially, she's summing up her character, saying that she's kind of a strung out girl. She loves she wants the fame. She's doing it all for the fame.
Mhm.
And she's trying to have a happy mistake with this guy. The delusion is like, yeah, she got sent to jail, but she fell in love with this guy. And that's actually like they're going to be powerful together. And so it's like she knew there were unanswered questions about her character, and she went in and wrote an album about it or something. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I mean, yeah. My take to those lyrics when we were just reading them can also really be about her own life,
Yeah.
because she's talked about how it's been very hard to find balance, and I think to find happiness within that framework of celebrity and the crazy amount of pressure that she has had on her for a long time, especially I think earlier in her career.
Yeah.
One thing I'm just noticing as I'm looking at the soundtrack, just a really quick pivot, is the soundtrack for Joker. They have that Joaquin Phoenix sang that song, True Love Will Find You in the End.
Yeah.
I don't remember that in the film at all. And that is actually one of my favorite songs ever. And so I'm kind of surprised. That's a Daniel Johnson. That was written by Daniel Johnson.
Oh,
And he was an
yes.
artist who he's Austin based. He's passed away now, but he was Austin based, and he used to make home demos and record them on cassettes and pass them out to people when he worked at the McDonald's drive-through, and became this Austin artist, like local artist who was very well known, who people loved. And then
What
he
was like
was,
highly autistic, right?
yeah, and he
Yeah.
was almost signed to the same label that had Metallica, but he wouldn't sign to them because he thought they had having Metallica, they were too associated with the devil. And so he went with another label instead.
Yeah.
His songs are always like so beautiful and pure of heart, especially that one.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would have remembered, maybe they put that one at when the credits were rolling. I don't know. So let's get to our vinyl records rating. Let's jump to it because I feel like let's talk
I
about it.
feel bad. I love Gaga.
I know, and I love Joaquin Phoenix, and I think he's an incredible actor, and I think she's a really great actor too, and I feel like they both put in good work. I just think it's a situation that happens
They
sometimes.
straddled the fence too hard on this one. So in honor of straddling the fence, I will give it a 5.
Ooh.
You think that's high? Listen.
No, I think for you, that's low. I thought you were gonna go 6. I mean, I think
I
that like,
was, but I didn't even know half the stuff you just said. So, like, I mean, about the
yeah,
back, I mean, they really missed. When I say I don't know it, I mean, there were storylines completely lost on me. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
and I wonder if some of that had to do with later how they edited it, if that
yeah,
had to do with just decisions they later made about what
yeah,
they were going to include or not include.
yeah,
Had I paid full price to see this in the movie theater, honestly, I would have been pretty angry. I think I
yeah.
would have been really, really mad. And people are allowed to like different things, and that's fine. I'm going to give it a 2. It's the
Whoa!
lowest rating I've ever given anything. I'm giving it a 2.
Erin,
You
your
know, I
ratings
like
are
the
always
soundtrack. I like the soundtrack. You can listen to the soundtrack. The singing is great. And I loved the songs that they included.
yeah.
Don't waste your time with the movie. It's plotting. It's too dark. There's not enough action. Yeah, I didn't get hooked. I wasn't interested. I
I
honestly,
don't,
I wish they'd edited like an hour out of the fucking thing. I mean,
yeah.
how could you not? It's 2 hours and 18 minutes. For God's sake, save me. That's just, we don't have enough time in our days to be wasting on this,
She's
okay?
Erin's passionate. I don't I don't think it was a total waste of my life at all. I thought there were very interesting things about it and artistic choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say it was super unsatisfying. sort of 50%,
I
sort of
just,
like doing it and not
yeah,
finish.
I find, yeah, I just
Yeah.
find it, you know,
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was,
know. It's
yeah, it sort of left you unsatisfied and asking for not necessarily more. It was just like, what?
less, asking for
Yeah,
less. I was
asking for
asking for
less.
less. I was like, cut the scene, cut the scene, cut the scene, cut the scene. I mean, for God's sakes, cut some of this shit out. Like, bring us more into the chaos, bring us more into the energy of what the damn
Yeah.
title says. Let's see more of the madness, not
Yeah.
more of the manipulation. I've seen
Yeah.
enough dance numbers.
You know what? I saw a criticism of it that said that Lady Gaga was way underutilized, and I thought that they meant like musically, and I was like, no, she had plenty of musical numbers in this, but really they probably meant that she was underutilized in actually pushing the story forward. Like,
Completely.
yeah,
And
there
as an
were no,
actor, they
yeah,
didn't let her act at all. It was
yeah,
like
yeah,
almost every scene she's in, she's singing. Even
yeah,
at the end, when she says goodbye to him, she starts singing again. He's like, please, no more singing. And I was like,
yeah,
yeah, please, no more singing. Let her act because she can actually also act. Let her
yeah,
do it. Let her talk. You know,
yeah,
she's somebody who can like emote. I've seen her in other pieces, and I'm like, wow, I really feel like she is a good actor. Why are we
yeah.
having her only on screen singing?
So, Erin,
Yes.
we wanted to address to our audience because, this is called the Video and Vinyl Club. And
Yes.
really, the idea is that we're all kind of watching these movies together, able to
Hmm.
discuss them, think about
Hmm.
them. You can go find us on YouTube, or
Yep.
Spotify has a comment section now, and you can go be like, I totally agreed with this thing that you said, or I totally disagree with that thing. This movie is 10 out of 10 vinyl records. You guys don't know what you're
Yes.
talking
Yes.
about.
Because we don't usually give those ratings.
Right.
Or at least
So
I don't.
so please, no,
Yes.
Aaron's a harsh critic. We all know that. But please, I'm the gas, Aaron's the brakes. That's how.
Slow down. Yep.
So anyways, that being said, we never, we're a new baby podcast. We're building our format, and
Hmm. Hmm.
now that we kind of are catching, a little groove here, we wanted to sort of come back to the heart of why we started this, which is that we all are talking about the same movies and music, and we want you
Yeah.
to be able to watch along with us. So we
Yes.
thought we would give you a sneak peek into
The
the
films that we're going to be watching for the month. So just
yes.
like if you're part of a book club, you would read the book and then get together and talk about it.
Yeah.
We're going to be giving you a list of what we're going to be doing this month. And we'll talk about it also on social media in case we add more choices. We'll mention that as we have episodes drop. But the next few movies for this month are
Honora.
Anora. We're
Yeah.
going to watch Anora, and that's by the same people who did Florida Project.
Yep. Sean Baker.
Sean Baker. We're going to be watching A Real Pain, which is a cousin road trip movie through Poland. We're going to be watching Heretic, Hugh Grant thriller film, which is getting a ton of reviews. And I know poor Emmy has watched too many thrillers already. She's not excited, but I think it's going to be great and it will be
Yes.
fun to talk about. What
Yep.
else, Emmy?
We've got oh, Wicked.
Okay. Wicked with Ariana
We
Grande.
we have to watch it.
Okay, we're gonna watch Wicked,
Okay, what else?
and we will be watching Here, which is the
Mm-hmm.
new film out with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, and it's by the director of Forrest Gump and a bunch of other films that Tom Hanks has been in. So that's one of those director and lead actor duos, similar to Scorsese and DiCaprio, who partner up in a lot of their films.
Yeah.
So yeah, and probably more. Do you have any more you're going to add
Yes,
right now? Tell
one
me.
more.
Yeah.
The Brutalist, starring Oscar winner Adrian Brody,
Oscar winner
w-
Adrian
which
Brody.
is an A24 film, and we love what A24 puts out.
We do
So,
love A24 films. And so for next week, we're going to watch
Honora. No.
All right. We're going to watch Nora.
Wait,
So
but are you okay?
I might have a little trouble seeing Nora. In case I can't see it this week, we will do it the week after.
Yeah.
As far as like dropping it on the pod. So if you are listening and you're like, I want to know what they're going to talk about next week, we're either going to talk about next week Nora, if I can somehow, I live in the middle of the woods in New Jersey. So sometimes interesting things don't come out as far to me.
Yeah.
Luckily, Emmy is in the city, so she has access to a lot more stuff. I just have to make a little special trip to go see things. So next week, we're going to either talk about A Real Pain or we're going to be talking about Nora.
Yeah.
We will be talking, those are the next two. So if you're like, I want to tune in and know what they're talking about, here's your homework, Nora and A Real Pain. Okay.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it. You can do
Yep.
it.
Yep. Sounds
All right.
good. All right. And we're gonna have some surprise record discussions too. We're not gonna give those away because we're like living in the moment here. Like you hear a song, we want to talk about it that week. So there's sort of winging it in the music department here, but that's because you never know what's gonna strike you. It's less of a time consuming. You can plan less for what songs you're gonna listen to.
Yeah.
Whereas with a movie, it takes up a solid 2 hours of your life and you have to buy tickets and all of these things.
Yeah.
So
It's a little bit. Yeah. We try
different.
to be more aware of that kind of stuff. You know what though? I just want to say to everybody who's listening, because this episode is going to be coming out tomorrow, which is the day to be voting. Just take care of yourself. It's going to be a stressful time. We're all aware of that. Not to say anything really more on the subject. I think that collectively we're kind of having a really tough time in the world. I know that. And to think that what's happening isn't affecting the people you're around or yourself would be incredibly naive. So I just want to say, give yourself a nice big glass of water, take a break when you need to, sit down, make sure you're being tender to yourself, be a little bit more thoughtful and tender to the people around you. We never know what people are going through. And we're here for you. So
Yeah.
Never forget.
Take a break with us. Come take a break.
Take a break. Fill your cup with a little joy. Fill your
Yeah.
cup with a little joy, however you can.
Listen to Aaron get upset about Folie and Deux.
Sometimes we just need to,
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, you can find us on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
Woo.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
1, 2.